All right, we're on right linear equations part 2. Now, before, part 1 was when I gave you a point and a slope. This time, I'm just going to give you 2 points, and we're going to see if you can work your way through that magic. Okay, so let's take a look what that looks like. So there's going to be times when the y-intercept and the slope are not directly given to you, right? Not like the notes from before. Here's how we deal with that. So David got a new dog, and he wants to send it to dog training classes. All right, good for David. Okay, so you heard that there's a membership cost plus a charge per class at a local pet place. But all he knows is the following. He knows that he saw this on a chart. Somebody says, look, if you get 5 classes, it's going to cost you $165. If he wants 10 classes, it's $290. So take a moment to draw this or to get this down. You don't have to do the drawing if you don't want to, but that helps remember or remind you of some stuff here. So the question here says, write an equation representing the total cost y after attending X dog training classes. So what's the actual equation? How can we figure this out? What if I just want to go to 1 class or 2 classes? How much is that going to cost me? Or 20 classes? How much is that going to cost me? All right, so here's the first thing I would do. First thing I would do is I'm going to notice the chart. I'm going to take a look at the chart. I'm going to notice that, look, wait a minute. 5 more classes cost David an extra $125 if he went for that. This is the cost here. So I can say, oh, okay, how much did it change? The rate of change. A rate is when you're dividing some stuff. So we're going to divide $125 for 5 classes. If I simplify that to its unit rate, I find that's $25 a class. So there you go. I can find out that each additional class is an extra $25. Boy, this training better be good. So if I want to use variables, that m that we've been working on before is equal to $25 over 1, or just 25 is fine. So now I want to pick one of the pairs. If I go back to the chart, remember it was 5 for $165 and 10 classes for $290. I don't care which one. It doesn't matter which of the pairs you use, but you want to choose one of the 2 pairs. And so you want to substitute like we did before. So I'll show you how it works for either pair. Okay, so I'm doing both pairs, but really when you start doing the homework, you only have to do one or the other. So I'll show you side by side what happens here. All right, so if I pick this first pair, 5 classes, 165. Remember, this is x and this is y. So I'm going to substitute that into slope-intercept, right? So y was 165. That's this one. My slope, I figured out, was 25 from above, right? So I put that in for slope. And my x is 5. I put that in right there. So I substitute all these values in and I multiply 25 times 5. So 5 classes. It's $125 what I'm paying for just the class. So what is this extra part? Well, if I subtract the 125 from 165, what they're charging me, I find out there's an additional $40 cost. So if I use the other point, okay, I'm doing the or one. So if I chose the other point instead, say, look, it was $290. It's $25 a class, and if I take 10 classes, it's going to cost me $290. So if I go 10 times 25, it's $250. So wait, $250 just for the classes. If I subtract that from $290, there's that $40 again. There's that beginning fee. So what does that all mean? Well, look, here's my final equation. Y equals 25x, $25 a class, plus 40, a beginning cost of 40. This means that David is going to first pay $40 for the membership. He wants to be a part of the membership. Then after that, he pays $25 per training class. So this is what this all means. There's times where there's a beginning charge and then a constant cost after that. Well, at least David has a well-behaved puppy, right? He won't be chewing on any glue sticks. Remember the word. Anyway, all right, so let's take a look. Example number 2. For her science class, Irene is measuring the height of a plant every week. Okay, so she's given a plant. She says, hey, record this. We're doing a science experiment. This is what she recorded. She found out that, look, in 5 weeks, it was 13 inches. In 10 weeks, it was 14 inches. Huh, interesting. Well, assume the growth is a constant and linear. Or if it's constant, it is linear, but whatever. Write an equation representing the height, okay, after X weeks, showing that what Irene recorded. Okay, all that to say, look, I'm given a table. There's some data on this table, and I'm going to assume that the plant is getting the same amount of sun and the same amount of water, so it's growing at a linear constant rate of speed. All right, so there's the big assumptions, and here we go. So the first thing I do is I notice the table. This is the same table. I'm just focusing just on the table. Again, I look, 5 weeks, from 5 to 10 is 5 weeks. The height grew 1 inch. All right, what does that mean? Well, the rate of change is 1 inch for every 5 weeks. I can just leave it like that. The slope is 1/5. 1 inch every 5 weeks. All right, next, done. Now I want to choose a pair to substitute. So remember, the pairs that I have are from the table. 5 is connected to 13 and 10 is connected to 14. So you have to choose. Choose one or the other. The choices, they're endless. No, they're not endless. It's one or the other. Okay, so here we go. Here's my slope-intercept again. I substitute. I went ahead and did it both ways to show you that you're going to get the same value at the end. Take a look. Well, I first chose the 513. Look, it was 13 inches after 5 weeks, and if it's growing 1 inch for every 5 weeks, I plug this in, I crunch some numbers, right? 1/5 of 5 is 1. Subtract 1 on both sides. I found out that there's a beginning number of 12. Over here, if I use the other recorded value, the 10 weeks was 14 inches. Okay, so 14 inches is equal to the growth rate, 1 inch every 5 weeks, times 10. Okay, so remember how we multiply. 1 times 10 is 10, divided by 5 is 2. Okay, we got that. And then I subtract that 2 inches from the 14. I get 12. Man, so I get this equation, y equals 1/5 x plus 12, but what does it all mean? So at this point, you might be saying, what does this mean? Yeah, okay, I get this, equation that you're talking about, Mr. Ramos, and I understand where to put the numbers. This is the growth rate, right? And I know that this is some number we just figured out. What does it all mean? Well, here's what this means. This means the plant is growing 1 inch every 5 weeks, okay? But there was a beginning point. Oh, so that tells me that Irene started taking measurements when the plant was already 12 inches tall. So she didn't get it from a seedling. She didn't plant it herself and watch it grow. She already got it when it was already 12 inches tall, right? So you've got this plant that's certain height, and she started at that point, and then from that point, she watched it grow, a little bit more, right? So she only started at this point, but it was already 12 inches when she first got it. Okay, so that's the big thing. Aha! Now I get it. All right, hopefully you do, not just this guy. So I know what you're thinking about right now. You're thinking, wait, are the problems going to look like this every time? Does it require so much writing? Oh, gosh. Well, life is all word problems. But no, in your book, you're going to get stuff a little bit, simpler, I guess you could say. So the answer is no. So stop yelling at me, first of all. Example number 3, write an equation of a line that passes through these 2 points. All right. So these 2 points are going to look like a table, right, where you have an X and you have a Y, and it'll look like 3, 0, and 5, 6. And, oh, wait, Mr. Ramos, you've already taught me how to do that. You find a slope. Oh, okay, that was 6 over 3, which is 2 over 1, and then I choose a point. Yeah. That's just a fast way of doing exactly what I'm going to do right here. So let me find the slope. Now, as you saw, I made it a table. I can find slope this way. Or, as I showed you in the last couple of weeks, you can just set them up next to each other and say, look, from Y to Y, from this Y to this Y, 0 to 6, it went up 6. From 3 to 5, from X to X, it went up 2. So 6 over 2 equals 3 over 1, or just 3. So there's my slope. Step 1, done. Step 2, choose a pair. Again, does not matter which pair you choose. You can go 3, 0 or 5, 6. Because I'm special like that, I went ahead and did both. Okay, so 3, 0. 0 is my Y, 3 is my X, and 3, the other 3, was my slope. I crunch some numbers, I subtract my 9, I find out that B is equal to -9. I wonder if that works for this one. Well, let's see. 6 is my Y, 5 is my X, 3 is my slope. I multiply these numbers. 3 times 5 is 15. Subtract it from both sides. Oh, voila! I get the same answer, -9. So my equation is Y equals 3X minus 9. Okay, 3 is the slope. -9 is the y-intercept. And for my final act, you try this one. Okay, this is a you try. Last one, I promise. Write an equation of a line that passes through these 2 points. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put your answer, and then you can play after and see what happens. Here we go. So I set up my slope first. I go, look, from 4 to negative 4, that went down 8. From 3 to 5, it went up 2. Negative 8 divided by 2 simplifies to negative 4 over 1, or just negative 4. There's my slope. There's half of my answer so far. All right. And you know me. Pick a pair. I can't pick. There's so many choices. I just did both. All right. So if I do one or the other, you get to choose one or the other. Let's see. 4 for y. X is 3. Right? And then my slope was negative 4. I substitute those in. Simplify. Add 12 to both sides. And I'll get my answer of 16. If I use the other point, you can look through my work here. I also get 16. So either way, I get 16 as my y-intercept. So there we go. I've got my slope and I've got my intercept. And that's it. I plug that in. Y equals mx plus b. There's my slope. There's my intercept. And I'm done. So there you go. I know this one's a little bit longer, but it's important for you. All right. Remember the key word, if you were listening, glue stick. All right. See ya.